Morning. Thanks for joining me for Life, Death, and a Dream. And I know I hate to do this to you, but just need to make sure it's my sound is on. Because even though sometimes it works on one platform, you want to make sure it works everywhere. So you're so patient.
Even though sometimes it works.
That's me. That's my voice. Okay. So we are rolling. Good. Thanks for coming back. Hey, we just finished up the Death Doula Chronicles, and that was 2 months that we covered all those aspects. And I look at those topics under the death doula and understanding and just getting educated in the ending of life is I look at it like a book cover. All right, you've got the front flap, which is when we're born, and you've got the back cover, which is when it's time for our story to end. So it's important to look at our lives in that way. I think sometimes a lot of people just look at the beginning and the middle, and then kind of just the end's going to float off. But to really always appreciate every page, every day we have, every chapter, half a page, every word, it's important that we remember how our lives fit into this beautiful book each one of us has of life. So it is spring, April 1st, sorry, April 2nd, April Fools, see, threw you off. I wanted to begin with overviewing our look at life, death, and the dream because so many people really enjoyed, I think, looking at the whole book of life. And so we are in spring and we want to bring out the new just the new life that's popping up. So we have just come through Easter still, and some other high holy days. So it's a great time for us to say, okay, what's next in this life and how do we prepare? Because every day is a new beginning. So thank you for being here. I have a new, created a new workbook. So those of you that want to go pick it up and help guide yourselves through this, so you can see it. Instant life appreciation, 4 keys for 4 key exercises. Because when we go through renewal, and again, this is an ongoing exercise, there's always a couple of very important components to loving and appreciating life, and experiences every single day. So whether you have the handbook, I think there's just so many good exercises that I've put in there. So I won't be able to cover everything, but as we meet, I will be discussing the different parts of this, which will be the first part is just embracing life through mindfulness. So we'll chat about that today and its significance actually in the workplace. So that is one, and being female. The second part, which will be the following week, is we're going to talk about finding strength in vulnerability. And this is, lots of, everyone says vulnerability, but it's really reflecting on what you have at your fingertips, what gifts you have, and what resilience and learning that you have from your setbacks, because these are very important things to embrace and learn from. The third thing we'll cover over the course of April is just cultivating gratitude. Gratitude, it really helps you to just put on a different face and within your heart. So it's not about exterior, it's about interior gratitude. And lastly, what we'll cover in April is pursuing dreams and celebrating your achievements that you've done over the course of this month that we'll be sharing. Now, of course, these are exercises that are just going to help you feel immediately better, because you can't help but to feel better when you look at something that's wonderful. So that's looking at yourself. What's wonderful about you and your life? And yes, certain things have gone crappy and they will die off. But when you renew yourself and look at things, then you are following your own dream. All right. Life can be right here. It can be heaven or hell for us. And crappy things will happen. There's no doubt it happens to everyone, but it's how we use these types of exercises and learn how to use them, um, that will help us stay in a place of balance, gratitude, happiness, awareness, and wisdom. Right? Wisdom. These are all techniques that build your wisdom. Now, one thing I really wanted to talk about in this particular area, which is in the workplace, I wanted to touch on that because sometimes as women, um, or men, but I have found from a female aspect that sometimes it can be quite challenging. And mindfulness can help any one of us remember who we are. So I can, I mean, there's many times where I ran up into some challenges where someone else, maybe it's men. So I think probably one of the first times I really had to speak up for myself, one of the many times, was when I was an advisor. I was new to a group, they were all men, and we were doing sales calls at night, just hitting the phones. And one of the guys heard that the manager had given me his call list because he hadn't been calling on those clients for so long. And his background was mostly just insurance. And my background was in investments, financial planning, taxes. So mine had been more expansive initially. And so I was kind of working together more in the insurance arena now. Um, but some of the other gentlemen that had been there for a long time, they were initially mainly focused on insurance. So my manager had given out, you know, lists for all of us newer people to call on with these different uh, education and ways to help people. Well, one of the guys found out that I had gotten a call back or something. I left a message with a client, someone he had worked with like 20 years before and hadn't even spoken to this person. So he heard this person called back from my message, and all you could hear on the other side of the room, there were all these cubicles, was he yelled out so loud my name, and he said, "Who do you think you are?" Now, I'm new. I had been there a couple of months, and at first I just shrunk down. And then I took a breath, and I had to remember who I was inside and my own meaning. Took a deep breath. As you can tell, I take these deep breaths to remember. And I just stood up in my cubicle and with the same tone of voice, I told him that he needed to stay in contact with his clients if he didn't want him to speak to anyone else. That's on that's on you, I told him. That's not on me. That's on you. And everyone just hushed. We all sat down and the show was over. Now, how does mindfulness help? Mindfulness helped me get through a moment that moment. If I didn't have some kind of practice and reining in energy around me and parking it, and then being able to quickly go back to myself inside and find that voice, then I mean, I could have just walked out and just like quit because it was horrifying to be the only female and who's making calls and just the pressure I was getting to succeed. At the time, I was single mom with the girls, and I had a living to make just because this guy, he had a family to take care of. Well, I equally had a family to take care of. So don't blame the. I'm sure there's a saying. Don't blame the what, blame the game. So, um, yeah, just getting uh, control of your mindset, and not sometimes we can focus on our sex. I'm female, male, whatever. But you know what? I found being a female and working around a lot of men, whether it was in the investment or insurance industry or riding a motorcycle. Um, a lot of times you just have to meet. You have to find your center and meet that conversation, recognize where that conversation is coming from and meet it. And mindfulness, being mindful of what is coming at you as well as where you're coming uh, from is key. So mindfulness, some people are like, okay, I get it. Yes, mindfulness is to be present, but it's not just about sitting there saying and that's it. Like just checking out. That's not mindfulness. Mindfulness is a way to connect with yourself and be aware and make yourself be heard, and controlling those voices and conversations in your head. Yes, those are times you build on your own. So it could be walking, meditation. It could be, um, even when you eat, to be mindful of these things. But you can go through your activities in the day being mindful of what you're doing. So if you're not having quiet time in the morning, meditation, having quiet, and bringing your thoughts back to yourself, back to the present, um, well, then you can also find other opportunities during the day to do that, whether it's eating, walking, uh, what do I say, sketching. These are all ways to be mindful and present, not only for yourself but for people you work with. And you want to support. You can only support other people at work if you yourself is present. So there's so many things that go on at work where everything's just kind of going different directions and people are working on different things. But it's important that when someone you could recognize when someone needs you to listen, and that's if you have practiced some kind of mindfulness technique yourself. So I think one technique you could do while you're at work every once in a while is to breathing is a great mindful practice. Just being aware of your breath. So you can hear people. I mean, one way is you could just look at your palm of your hand or look at an index card and breathe in, and run your finger along your something square and breathe in, go. Could be a sticky note, right? Your sticky note. Who knew 3 M's were for breathing exercises? but you can breathe in. You breathe in as you go up, hold it, exhale, and let it stay out. And then repeat. Okay. So you can repeat that kind of exercise. And next thing you know, it becomes habit. You could leave some sticky notes on your desk and know, okay, that's the thing that I practice. And take up that page. That is the sticky note that I always have on my desk. That is my reminder that when someone pisses me off or acts cray cray, before I give in to that, because I can do that, um, but I will be reminded when I see this sticky note that I need to breathe in, hold it, breathe out, and hold it. So these are great ways that can remind you at work when something either pisses you off or you just need to take that extra breath so you can think in a mindful way. So whether you're advocating for someone who needs you to step up for them, hey Terry, or you want to lead others by including people and having empathy for others, it's important that you have a technique that helps you take a step back and listen. So, yeah, so that breathing technique can help you. Like I said, sometimes it could be just walking or sipping your water. Make sure you always have some water to sip to cool you down. Hey, Terry. Um, yeah, but and mindfulness can help you in networking, right? So when you can adjust yourself to take a step back and kind of shake off everything that goes on around you. It's funny, in my death doula training, I talked about how just walking in to visit someone. So this is when you're going for a meeting, you're visiting someone who's sick, you're visiting a friend, um, whatever it is. Before you walk into that space, yeah, sleepy time tea. You can do something like have some tea or do some breathing or a scent. So sometimes, what do I have here? Oh, I have these things. What are they? Little. I use these for sage. Okay. Sometimes when I'm going to write, I'll burn this, and it puts me in the mood and the zone to write. So it's good to have certain practices to help you be mindful, whether you're stepping up for someone else, stepping up for yourself, advocating for yourself or someone else, leading others. And, we lead people without even realizing it, especially in the office. You have different ages. And I think when especially now with young people, especially after COVID, like, they didn't get all that time to interact with people. So when I was in the office, because I quit like a month ago. Love them though. These are great people I worked with. So, but it was time for me to be here with you. But it's important that you carry yourself in a way that no matter what you do, you're showing others how to cope, coping skills and how to behave, how to react. So we have to remind ourselves we're always in a leadership role, because if eyes are on us, we are showing others how to lead and how to just navigate challenges and times where uh, you can be quite shocked, sometimes what people say or do or whatever. So you want to keep that game face and also keep that ear open. So then when you have a colleague that really just needs to let off some steam, they can do that and not feel judged. That's another thing about mindfulness. When you're in the workplace, You can keep your self-control. So when someone says something shocking to you or something that maybe you wouldn't, think to, um, to say or react or do, mindfulness, when you remember to let judgments just go to the wayside. Sometimes people just need to share, they need to process. So allow people to process, right? And not gossip. So I'm so not about gossiping. To me, that's spewing poison. So I'm very anti gossip. Um, so mindfulness will help less gossiping. I'm a big believer in that because then you can control your mouth. When you can control your mind and the stupid stuff that comes in your mind, well, guess what? It's a better workplace because you can control your mouth if you can control your thoughts. So I think we all need that. Yeah, some people do try to push buttons, Terry. Yes. And sometimes you just got to let them push and then just kind of walk away because a lot of times people don't realize or they do realize sometimes like I said at the beginning when some people do push your buttons. Um, but then there comes a point where you got to make a decision. Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? Um, again, today I did want to incorporate sometimes how hard it is in the workplace when you're a female. Um, it's hard for guys too, don't get me wrong, but men are really good. I have to say, men are very good about not taking things personally. I remember one of the first times, oh, what did happen? A guy I used to partner with a lot, Mike. We used to do a lot of seminars together uh, about financial planning and investments, insurance, benefit plans, everything. So we used to go from New York up to Connecticut, and we would teach people about financial planning. And there was a guy once who, um, another advisor, who was a little, I don't know what you want to call it. Um, it brought up some envy, I guess, that I had made a connection in a big, large company, and I was taking Mike with me. We were going there, and again, this man said something to me, and I was just so shocked, taken back by what he said that I controlled myself. I didn't say anything, and then Mike turns around and he says to me, "Michelle, you got to get used to it. Like, you just have to put a." He says, "You have to put on your big girl panties." I was like, "Dude, really?" It's like, "Yeah, no, you need to toughen up. Like, get thicker skin because, s s you know, s don't take everything personally." So that was a great lesson for me. I was like, "Man." So, yeah, I think that if we look at things that make us uncomfortable, a lot of times we have to say, "Why does it make us feel uncomfortable?" And that's a side conversation for us to have with ourselves. That's where mindfulness comes in because we can control our brains in that way. So our bodies are naturally going to react, but remember, our minds always think about a lot of times it wants to think. It wants to think. Our minds want to think. Yeah, they call it the like the jump in like the monkey mind. It keeps going. Our minds keep going. That's what it does to defend us. So it thinks about the past, to be careful, reminders, what's happened in the past, what could happen. But then it also wants to jump all the time to the future. Ooh, what could happen? Oh my goodness. Yeah, and our brains start to paint a picture. So it's important that we have control over this kind of script that's playing out. That's not even reality most of the time. Um, but our now presence, our now, what is going on right now, actually going on, is really who you want to put in charge of running the show. So whether that's at home, at work, you want to have that mental strength in order to keep that monkey mind under control. All right, and know the difference. One great thing I learned a long time ago was in sales. It was a sales training that I had taken years ago. Gosh, I don't know how long ago. But anyway, one of the trainings, it always sticks in my mind, was always remember who you are. How you're reacting? Are you reacting as a, parent voice? Are you reacting or talking, either way, to someone who is in a child role or as an adult? All right, so those 3 modes we can either hear in the back of our little brains, or, we can speak to someone. So let's say an example would be, um, I guess I'll probably use a work thing. So I've had it where someone would say to me, "Oh, Michelle, I want you to" I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good work one. Hmm. "I want you to, uh, organize" I don't know, I'm just gonna use a real simple example. "Michelle, I want you to organize this, this plan." All right? So, I'm gonna use a planning example from when I used to do a lot of financial plans. And so I would meet with the husband and wife, and they would give me all their information, and they'd say, "Okay, how much do we need to save for retirement or, the kids' college, whatever." So they'd give me all their information, their financials. Um, and then when they come to me, they'd say, "Okay, well," I'd say, "Well, what are your goals?" And they would say, uh, they would share some of their upbringing, honestly. A lot of times, how we think about money and death and life, it starts out with, how we're taught when we were kids, and then some of our experiences later that helped or hurt us. And when I would listen to them, you would hear people get very wound up in the way they communicate. So I've had it where, maybe the husband would say, "She's spending too much. She needs to get a grip on it before we do other things." So in that moment, meeting with people like that, I have to really use a lot of breathing and mindfulness that first, I am a witness. Second, I am here to listen. I'm not here to judge. So I'm being the adult. I'm playing the role of the adult because when you're witnessing other people and they're talking about something sensitive, you need to be able to remember, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to think. I'm not here to um, put ideas into anyone's head. I'm a neutral person here to witness this. And sometimes you could see where one would speak to the other like, I'm your parent. So in this particular instance, he's speaking to his wife like he's the parent. Okay. And she is coming back to her husband as a child. She's reacting as a child because his tone of voice is like the parent. So that little triangle there gives you an example of if someone's going to play the parent, the other person can hear them as a child and respond in that way. And for me, I got to be the adult to stay present. And that's mindfulness to keep that place. So, whether you are in the workplace where someone is maybe speaking to you like a parent, it could be a manager. All right. If your manager is talking to you like he thinks he's your parent, it's okay. It's okay. As long as you recognize it and take a step back and remember in your head, he's not my parent. So I'm not going to react. I'm not going to speak back like I am a child because he thinks he can talk to me like a parent. All right. So sometimes it's just the moment. If someone speaks to you like they are your parent and you recognize that voice, and you could be a female or male. All right. I just honestly, I think that men are really good about uh recognizing. But it still happens with men too, because I see some young men out there when their managers or their bosses speak to them like they're their parents. I mean, that makes me crazy. Of course, it makes me crazy. I'm human. I'm like, dude, like, no, that's not okay. Um, but you have to let everyone, learn in their own way. But you can see it in the workplace, whether you're a woman or a man. But I think us as women, we really do need that mindfulness technique to help us, remind us. We need those sticky notes to remind us, don't take it personally. All right. And when you can't say something pretty, or and not pretty, but if you can't say something wise as an adult, then just take the step back until you can remind yourself, okay, this is his shit. It's not my shit. He needs to learn how to communicate, but I can control how I'm going to respond back. And I can respond back as an adult. I'm not going to be triggered to speak to someone like I'm their parent. And I'm certainly not going to respond like I'm a child. Right. So either you have a side conversation, not in front of someone and with your manager, and let them know I respect you, but I don't appreciate you speaking to me that way. Got me? I get you. I get your point. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So, um, yeah, I really had that little wake up call probably like 15 years ago, no more. Yeah. But it was good when when Mike, I don't know if he's out there listening, but when Mike just said, "Michelle, put on your big girl panties," and I was like, "Damn, he's right, man. I can't, I can't shrink back like that." So, um, you learn when people have that. So you learn how to be more reflective. Yeah, Terry, I see. Yep, been there and failed more times. Struggle is real. It's for real for everyone. I mean, that's just what it's for, right? And as a woman, I mean, I've had a lot of different challenges, and I had to make that mindful choice. All right, we can make mindful choices even when we're faced with whether someone's trying to shut you up, talk over you. That's another thing I've had to put up with. Someone trying to talk over me. Um, I've had times where um, I had someone, I was paired up with someone, and he, uh, one night tried to kiss me. Yep. And he was a very big advisor, and everyone was like, "Oh, you need to work with him because you can make a lot of money." And I was like, Nope, not doing it." So I put that one to bed right away. I was like, "I don't care how much money I can make with this dude, and I have 2 kids to support. There's no way I'm going to do that. I'll wait tables, I'll do whatever, as long as I have my dignity, and I will never give in to something like that." And I didn't. So, a lot of other people couldn't understand why all of a sudden I wasn't working with that person. Um, but I just walked away. You have to have your own sense of who you are, and especially as a woman. No, you're not gonna starve. Maybe you may not have the lifestyle that you want, by doing something, but yeah, you just you don't give into that, right? I mean, someone who needs to do that, push you into that kind of thing, is a loser. So, he's got issues. Don't make his issues your issue. So, I do chalk a lot up to mindfulness, and whether it's, you're talking meditation or meditation is a practice just to get you to practice, to be present and know who you are. So when the time comes up and the shit hits the road, then you know how to stand up for yourself, get a grip, stand up for yourself, stand up for other people. All right. So that's my take on mindfulness, right? It's not just a chill thing. It's a practice. It's a mental practice to really get the hang of who you are and don't let anyone step on you. And for you to always respond back as an adult. All right. I do want to share with you the self care workbook. So I just made up another one. Yes, and it's really good. I have to say, it's a really good one. So, the last one I put up for the art of the legacy planning was a free one. This one, I have the link somewhere. It's like $15. If you want to follow along in the booklet, that's up to you. But I put it, I didn't put very much, obviously, but I just wanted to make it available to you because it's really good to go through when you're not here. So during the course of April, like I said, we will go through the different parts of it, which is, mindfulness, all right, uh, looking at vulnerability, all right, learning something from setbacks, which I'm sharing a little bit with you today, but there's just so much to learn from our setbacks. And so when we write it down, what went wrong and what we learned from it, then that we gain wisdom, and so does everyone else around us, right? Because we learn how to take care of ourselves and how to react to things and how to learn from things and not repeat screw ups. All right. And then we have cultivating gratitude and pursuing dreams and achievements. So this booklet, if you do want to get it, it kind of takes us through, through ways for preparation, um, and then how to go through these different types of things that I'll be talking about with you. And then at the end in the booklet, it'll talk about reflecting on experiences and incorporating things into your daily life. So I think that it's a great structure, and it's got a lot on goals and intentions and checklists. I like a little bit of checklists. All right. I do admit I like to freewheel it, but I do like a little structure. So that is our structure for April. And Terry, thank you for being here. And one more thing. It's 2:30, and I really wanted to keep these Tuesdays. So I have a couple of things that I want to be mindful of to remind you about, which is one thing is there's a grief conference coming up in Connecticut, which is pretty cool. So I'm helping to organize it. And I think I put that on my LinkedIn stuff. But there's going to be the first ever grief conference here in Connecticut. It's going to be August 31st. And remember when I talked about grief? Grief is something we all go through. It's an emotion we all deal with. So if you want to learn more about it, I mean, you can look up things, but it's nice if you're in Connecticut, Hartford area, August 31st. It's an all-day workshop with a lot of good speakers, and a friend, Kate Molson, is the organizer. So myself and another lady, we're just helping to organize it for her, and we're also going to present there. So we're excited for her. She's a young widow, and she has made it her a mission to really help others get through grief. And remember, grief is not just about someone who's died. It's a lot of emotions where you want to be aware of, and the roller coaster emotions that you have that come along with grief. So grief is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's something that we all go through. So tools are always good, and understanding will always help too. So that's in August. I also wanted to let you know that I'm doing a free workshop at the Westport Library in Connecticut on May 8th. So I'm very excited. We're going to talk about legacy planning, creating your legacy, as well as some storytelling, recreating your story, right? And that, again, that works with grief. It works with mindfulness. I mean, it just works with all these different aspects. So I'm very, very excited to do that. And I actually had printed out my first publication of my Iron Bed story. So I'm very excited about that. Actually, I share that story a lot sometimes when I talk to groups too. People always find that story fun, but actually it's now in print. So it is summer, and I have just received in the mail, which I know this sounds crazy, but I'm just going to make sure it is what I think it is. And Terry is making me remind me this is like the mail, right? So I just want to see if my summer has begun. My summer has begun. And these are my hilarious. Okay, these are my beach stickers. Who gets excited over their beach stickers? I get very Moto Madam. Yes, that is my plate. I know. So, and my Harley, right? I have to have 2 beach stickers to make sure I can go to the beach and hop in at the end of the day. So thanks for sharing with me on that one. I'm very excited because I ordered those online. I'm so excited. Takes the grandchildren to the beach and to enjoy it. So I hope to see you go through, get the workbook if you can. Like I said, it's only $15, and we will talk more about each time we get together. So we are going to talk next. Well, the 16th is going to be the next time I'll be here live. But what I'm going to do is, and I have a special treat on the 16th. I have a young lady who I'm just going to give a hint. She is extremely creative, and she is going to show us a technique on creating and making our own flowers. Okay. And she is a true artist. So she is going to we're going to do something together. And so she's going to do that at 2 o'clock on the 16th with us. And again, that's all about mindfulness too, and being present. So she's going to show us a little technique, a little creative technique that we can find that will be helpful. And we'll talk a little bit about more about the workbook. Now, I will be on audio on LinkedIn on Fridays at 8 o'clock to see if that works for you. And that will be every Friday at 8 o'clock, because sometimes you just want to listen or engage, without having to be on camera. It uses less downloading. So it's just audio, but I'm going to definitely talk in more detail about the aspects of this workbook here on LinkedIn, sorry, on these lives, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. I'll be just like talking about what I did today about mindfulness. All right. And then on the audio, I'll talk more in depth about the exercises that are included in the workbook. So I hope that makes sense to you. But we are going to make this April a month of growth and just clearing out the old stuff. All right. So I will see you here next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, or I will hear you on Fridays at 8 o'clock. Remember, the Tuesdays are going to be today, the 16th, and then I think it's the 30th, this last Tuesday of the month. So we will chat more about these different aspects. So thank you for being here. And next week, we will talk about vulnerability and talking about resilience from our setbacks. Until then, peace out and thank you for joining me.